This illustrates the core challenge of a time-sharing operating system, managing multiple demanding processes competing for limited processing power on a single CPU core. If the operating system allows a single massive job to monopolize the processor until it finishes, every other active process will sit idle. This creates a risk of process starvation, where smaller tasks are completely blocked from executing. To prevent this monopolization, operating systems rely on the round-robin scheduling algorithm. The primary objective of this scheduler is not to achieve the highest raw execution speed. Instead, it is designed to guarantee fairness and predictable responsiveness across all parallel tasks. Round-robin is a strictly preemptive algorithm. This means the operating system has the authority to pause a running process and reallocate the CPU to another task. This is a circular first-in, first-out queue, where processes are staged. The constraint is the time quantum, Q, a fixed CPU time slice allocated equally. Exhausting this quantum triggers strict preemption. The process is forcibly evicted from the CPU and returned to the queue. The time quantum is the absolute anchor of the system. It is the single variable that dictates the mechanical balance between fair process execution and computational overhead. This diagram shows our starting conditions. We have 4 incoming processes, P1 through P4. We know their arrival times and required burst times, the total CPU execution time needed to finish. We are constrained by a time quantum of 2. Process 1 arrives at time 0 and moves into the CPU. Executing for its allowed time quantum, it draws a block on our Gantt chart from 0 to 2. Its remaining burst time updates from 5 to 3. P1 is then preempted and forced to the waiting queue. Process 2 now loads into the CPU. It executes from time 2 to 4, and its burst time drops from 4 to 2. P2's time slice then expires, triggering a second preemption. It is ejected and lines up behind P1. The queue mechanism enforces strict time sharing. It breaks massive jobs into democratic, uniform slices, completely disregarding their total required computational effort. Continuing with our diagram, P3 executes from time 4 to 6. Notice that P3's total burst time is exactly 2, perfectly matching the time quantum. Upon completion at time 6, P3 dissolves and permanently exits the system without re-entering the queue. It is P1's turn again. It executes from time 6 to 8, updating its remaining burst time from 3 down to 1. Now P4 enters and executes from time 8 to 10, completely finishing its required processes and exiting the system. P2 takes its final turn from time 10 to 12. It successfully completes its remaining 2 burst time units and exits. Finally, P1 executes from time 12 to 13, finishing its final unit of burst time. The scheduling cycle is complete. This finished Gantt chart now serves as a perfect deterministic timeline. We can use this to mathematically evaluate the system's efficiency. This visual timeline allows us to extract our metrics. First is completion time, or CT, the exact moment a process terminates, found by locating the rightmost edge of each process's final block. Mapping P1's final block, we lock its completion time at 13. Continuing the map, P2 completes at 12, P3 at 6, and P4 at 10. Next is turnaround time, or TAT, the total lifespan of a process in the system. It is calculated by subtracting arrival time from completion time. For P1, 13 minus 0 yields a turnaround time of 13. Rapidly calculating the rest, P2 equals 11, P3 equals 4, and P4 equals 7. Turnaround time proves exactly how long a user actually waits from requesting a process to the moment it successfully terminates. Looking back at our expanded table, we derive waiting time, or WT, the cumulative time a process spends sitting idle. We calculate it by subtracting its active burst time from its turnaround time. For P1, a turnaround time of 13 minus a burst time of 5 equals a waiting time of 8. The remaining calculations resolve to 7, 2, and 6. The final step in evaluating the scheduler is summing these times and dividing by the total number of processes. Our final average waiting time is 5.75 milliseconds, and the final average turnaround time is 8.75 milliseconds. These two numerical averages act as the definitive benchmark, telling engineers whether the chosen time quantum is serving the system efficiently. What happens to the overall system performance and efficiency if that core time quantum constraint is drastically altered by the engineers? This split-screen diagram highlights the extremes. If the time quantum is too large, preemption fails, and massive tasks bottleneck the processor. If it is too small, the CPU wastes cycles swapping tasks. This context-switching overhead actively tanks system throughput. Selecting the exact right time quantum is an engineering optimization problem. It requires balancing active user responsiveness against dangerous hardware overhead. This table compares round-robin to alternative scheduling models like first-come, first-serve, or FCFS, and shortest job first, or SJF. First-come, first-serve suffers from demonstrably poor response time, trapping shorter tasks behind massive ones. Shortest job first optimizes for speed, but carries a severe starvation risk for heavier tasks. Round-robin, by contrast, guarantees high fairness across the board. Round-robin rarely produces the lowest possible average waiting time. However, it mathematically prevents any single process from being permanently ignored. Prioritizing guaranteed fairness and predictable responsiveness over brute force execution speed, round-robin remains the mandatory foundational architecture for all modern multi-user and interactive systems.